What is up, folks? So we are outside of Science Athletics in Burnaby on Canada Way and Boundary. We're doing something way different, way out of my comfort zone, because I wanted to get things tested today for my lactic threshold as well as my VO2 max. So I'm going inside here. I'm going to get tested. I'm going to talk to Sean, performance coach at Science Athletics, get some feedback on my running, whether I'm doing good now, whether I need to scale things back, just test things out, because as a guy who just started running in June of last year, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I'm just getting out there and running, listening to Runna, which is basically an algorithm, posting in Strava and whatnot. So we're going to get some scientific, proven analysis of what my body is doing and how I can improve and how I can get better. So I'm going to head on in. We're going to, show you guys everything that goes on. We're going to get some feedback. We're going to hear what he has to say. And then I'll come back to you guys afterwards, maybe sit down at home and talk about exactly what I'm going to do.
We're Science Athletics. My name's Sean McKeown. I'm an applied sports scientist here. We're in Burnaby. We're looking at your physiological response to increases in workload. So we're doing an incremental stepwise test where we start at a really low running speed. We stepwise increase that workload to measure both your metabolic response from your blood lactate and your ventilatory response to the metabolic response. From that, we can identify where your aerobic and anaerobic thresholds are, where those are relative to your ceiling, which is your VO2 max. We can break down your energy expenditure at each one of those stages, from carbohydrate to fat, how that changes through the test. We'll also have a look at your running economy and how efficient you are in terms of your usage of O2 at each of your thresholds and each of the steps through the test, all with the goal of really individualizing your training zones and giving you the best individualized information to put into practice. It'll help by, again, individualizing all your training zones. So it's not going into an algorithm that just spits out percentages of your age predicted heart rate. It's individual to your individual physiology. That means every training session can be spent in quality rather than brushing around the edges where you don't actually know if you're hitting the physiological capacity you want in that session. After the warm-up, the work portion of the test is about anywhere from 12 to 18 minutes. That's measuring both lactate and VO2 at the same time. So we see people who are your couch to 5K people, all the way up to professional athletes, professional marathoners. We see a lot of people who are trying to hit that kind of sub 3 hour, a lot of people going for Boston. So we have a very good normative data set with regard to different levels of athletes as well that we're able to pull from to inform everyone's assessment when they come in. In general, right now, your long runs, you said you're running 18 kilometers at what pace?
About 5:45.
5:40. So that's more than about 10 kilometers per hour, roughly. That 18 kilometers right now is higher than your anaerobic threshold.
Okay.
So what we're seeing really, really early in the test, so our warm-up speeds were 7, 8, and 9 kilometers per hour. So well above that kind of 6-minute pace.
Yes.
At the end of your warm-up, your lactate was at a 3.9.
Out of?
Generally, lactate around a 4 millimole point is around anaerobic threshold. In a very general sense, we pinpoint exactly what it is, but if you're to say in a general sense, aerobic threshold is around 2 millimoles and anaerobic threshold is around 4 millimoles. At the end of the warm-up, you're at 3.9. So the warm-up workload up to 9 kilometers per hour elicited a metabolic cost to you, which was flooding your system with lactate, which again shouldn't be happening at those lower workloads. Okay. So we've seen, as we pulled it back down to 7 for the first stage, you were able to clear it out fairly well. You dropped it back down to about 3.1. But again, by the time we hit like 9 and 10, you were skyrocketing back up again. So for where you're running right now, for say your long runs, which should be around your aerobic threshold, you're actually running too fast.
Okay.
You're over your aerobic threshold, so you're not getting the aerobic base work that you need out of your long runs. So you're not getting all the physiological adaptations, mitochondrial density, capillarization, all these things that build that base for later on are missing because your aerobic threshold is actually lower than where you think it is, because Strava and
of course
everything are just using algorithms to give you what they think it is, where it's way off.
Okay.
So right now,
So slowing down
yeah, it's hard.
works out in the long run.
Yeah, exactly. So what I want to see is that your aerobic threshold is at around 75% of your VO2 max.
Okay.
So again, just eyeballing this right now before I do the analysis, your VO2 at roughly around that like 8 kilometers per hour was around 32.1. Your VO2 max is actually really good. You've got a really good ceiling. It was 53.4, but the ceiling is up here, your thresholds are way down here.
Yeah.
So your aerobic threshold is only sitting at 60% of your VO2 max.
Okay.
So we want that upwards of 70, moving towards 75. And then likewise, your anaerobic threshold, we want to see around like 90, 85 to 90%. Yours is sitting at 70% right now.
Okay.
So yeah, number one is going to be slowed down to stay within that kind of aerobic base. Not alone do we see that from the lactate side, but we also see it from the ventilatory side. So like I was saying before, as workload increases, as we hit our aerobic threshold, we begin to just extract a little bit more oxygen from each breath. We don't necessarily start to breathe harder or heavier, we just extract a little bit more oxygen. What we see, again, really early by the end of that warm-up was what's called your RER, your respiratory exchange ratio. Once that gets above a 1, you're in anaerobic glycolysis. And you were hitting that again by the end of the warm-up.
Oh, wow.
So we've seen it from two kind of independent systems, your metabolic system and your ventilatory system, that they're under stress really early at low workloads for what you're doing.
Yes.
And that also says then, if your RER was 1.01 by 9 kilometers per hour. So that basically says that 9 kilometers per hour, you are more or less, you're only burning blood glucose. You are no longer burning any fat.
Really?
And especially for longer runs, you want to extend how long you can rely on fat so you don't hit the wall at like 2, 3, 3.5 hours into a run. Which again, improving that comes from really good base work, which again, I think right now is the missing piece in your training.
Okay.
But other than that, like your heart rate scaled normally through the test, looked really good. You hit a max heart rate. But yeah, that's the main thing, just visually looking at it right now, is the base work is the missing piece.
Okay. So if you were to say like an easy run, an easy long run, in terms of, say, you know, my average pace.
Again, eyeballing it, I'll give you the exact one in the report.
Of course,
I would say, let's see, what's 9 kilometers per hour?
Straight down,
640.
640. Okay. So I'm almost a minute off.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what, I suppose, not building the base work, what it has done for you is you're actually able to work with high levels of lactate in the system, like in that kind of mid-range kind of. You can deal.
But it's hurting the body.
Exactly, yeah. You're not going to be able to push further until we move back, slow down, and get that base work done.
So I'm home and back. And there she was. What an experience. I was gassed afterwards. My legs are dead. But it was fun. And definitely a learning experience. And as you heard from Sean, I'm doing too much. So I didn't get a full report yet. It'll take about a week to get the full VO2 max lactate threshold report back, so I can understand every one of my zones, not have to learn from the algorithm of Strava or Runna, and actually get my zone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and my VO2 max and my lactate threshold to a T. So I asked him as well after the test, you know, how many repeat customers do you get? And he said about a third of his customers come back for testing again. And I said, how often? Like every year? And he said, well, you put it into practice because you understand your zones, you understand what you need to do. And from what I learned is my aerobic base is not great. I'm running too fast and I'm exerting way too much energy when I should be doing these long, easy runs. So I should be slowing down. And I knew that, but I didn't feel it. I felt like I was fine on these long runs and these easy runs, but my body actually wasn't. So it was great to go for this testing and learn and understand that I just need to slow down. I suggest this to anybody. Science to Athletics in Vancouver or wherever you're from, look up VO2 max lactate threshold testing and get it done if you're a runner, if you're an athlete. Understand what your body needs and how your body works. It was a fun process, and I'll likely be going back there to do it again because it gave me answers that I needed and that I'm going to put into practice. As soon as I get the report, actually, tomorrow I gotta go for an easy run, 6.5 kilometers, and I'll be running at a 6:30, 6:40 pace. I'm gonna be taking it super easy and try to get this aerobic base down and set. Yes, the half marathon is 2 weeks away, less than 2 weeks away now, but I'm gonna be doing everything I can to get my aerobic base where it should be, that true zone 2. It was fun, and I hope you enjoyed this video, so make sure you click that like button, click the subscribe button, and make sure you check out Science to Athletics in Burnaby, British Columbia. Peace out, folks.